Y'all, it's day 23, take two. I thought I had enough time on the previous camera. I didn't. I did get far into the video. And what I learned from the other night is don't try to splice it. Welcome back to Trigger to Transform Day 23. Oh my God. Let me be, again, my goal is to be frank and up front, right? It's after 2 a.m. and today has been a complete day that I didn't necessarily expect. I very much went through the day, or coming to the day, I should say, thinking that I was going to rest because yesterday was a travel day and I do my best to rest after at least the day after. And my son, whose first day of school, or, back to school was today, called me at 6:30 a.m., y'all, to so that I could see his bathrobe. He got the black bathrobe like my leopard bathrobe, and thought that I needed to see that at 6:30 a.m. So that was a surprise. And then I went back to sleep for a few minutes, and my phone rang again. And this time I had to get up because, excuse me, someone was really ready to transform their life. And that was a all-day commitment. So as I started to consider what it is that I wanted to come in here and talk to you all about as it relates to proving yourself and the identity that we have to prove ourselves, or what we're identifying as improving ourselves. Um, and I started a video on it. I did about 12 minutes of that conversation and the phone died. And so I had to start over. So this is me starting over. This is me, again, being triggered that I've got to start over. So it's okay. Because so a few other things happen in this process is where I get to learn a lesson, right? This lesson may or may not have anything to do with what I experienced today, but it will help me as I continue to move on. So I'm doing my best not to be bothered, not to be triggered. I can't even say not to be triggered because that's not fair. I'm doing my best to work inside of my trigger, right? To be transparent in this process. And allowing myself space, right? So we all know that a part of what I do is to make a plan for my day the day before. And when there's opportunities that come about that plan does not actualize. And that's okay. So today is one of those days that the plan didn't actualize. But what did happen was I was able to support someone in developing their own identity without having to prove themselves to anyone else in order to make a decision of what to do next. Not from a space of my own personal validation of their situation, but by being open, present, and willing to hold space for them to come into the agreement with themselves about who they are and how they're going to navigate their personal situation. There's not a whole lot to say around that because that is a definitive choice. And while we may not all have someone that walks through those moments with us, we are completely able and capable of walking with ourselves as long as we're using the vantage point of clarity and not getting sucked into the having to prove myself to anyone else other than myself. And being okay with no one else agreeing with your decision. This is the transformation of being triggered. Welcome to Trigger to Transform Day 23. If I have not said it, please like, subscribe, and share this video. And if this video is not for you, if nothing that I've said has resonated with you thus far, think about the person that it will resonate with. Think about the person that's in the middle of a significant life change and may be supported and guided to their next decision with peace, ease, grace, and glory, because that's really all we're offering here in this space. Day 23 is really about owning who we are and being okay with the rest of the world not approving of it. And that's almost scary to say because there are people right now in positions of power that use that technique, but to the detriment of themselves and everybody around them. So the true possibility here is to be in tune with yourself in a way that, one, you're not going to hurt, harm, or cause danger for anyone else. That has to be a significant responsibility that we hold as we are proving ourselves to ourselves. How do we want to show up? Because what I'm clear of right now is however we decide to show up is a choice. No matter what position or role that you're in, if you are deciding to hurt, harm, or cause danger to another one in a fashion that you are willing to do so for your own personal agenda, then you are absolutely operating in your lowest self. As a leader, because that just means that your agenda of your personal agenda, should I say, is greater than your service agenda. Okay, so being able to prove to yourself that you can be the person that you desire to be is wrapped in the vulnerability to pull back the layers when you're triggered and get your personal, your truly personal blueprint of how you bump up against the trigger in a way that changes things in your sight, your physical, emotional, spiritual sight. What triggers you controls you. Write that down. Write it down. What triggers you controls you. So if you are constantly trying to dodge the trigger by becoming someone that you're not, by trying to prove that you're not what this thing is saying about you, or how this person feels about you, or how this makes you act, or how this brings about a reactive response in you, let's say it that way. all of that energy has to be turned inward, because you're the only one that can make that distinction for yourself, not for someone else, but for you. When that trigger comes up, can you fall into the person that you see yourself as in a way that is impacting you, one, to evolve outside of that trigger, and two, a way that impacts everyone around you so that it's all working for your good, it's all working for their good? Can you see yourself in a way that will allow you not to fall into the space of I need to prove something to someone now because X, Y, and Z? They agree with me, they don't agree with me. I want to be their friend, they don't want to be my friend. And that sounds interesting as grown adult people, but we are really interested in this popularity contest, and I see it constantly. On social media and in absolute places. What triggers you controls you. And having to identify yourself as one thing and prove to yourself that you're not that. Again, identifying yourself as one thing. We talked about it the other day, the fixer, the da 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 da, and having to prove to yourself that you're not that. Because you don't have to fully be that all the time. It's important to be inside of your own personal experience of yourself, which comes from a connection to yourself, from a heart center, from a space of forgiveness, from a space of love, from a space of feeling peaceful on the inside, from a place of my nervous system being relaxed because I can make a choice to stand inside of who I see myself as versus how the world sees me. Being inside of these conversations just put me in a place of like seeing myself at different stages in my life and being innately aware of the decisions that I've had to make to switch, to rewrite the narrative, to become more confident, to accept myself. Accept myself as goddess, accept myself as angel, accept myself as therapist, communication leader, da 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 da, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on and on. As mom, as daughter. And when I put all those roles, titles, positions together, at the end of the day, who am I being inside of that? How do I show up even when I'm triggered? Even when I feel upset, even when I'm tired, even when I'm hungry? even when I've had enough and I really just want to be left alone. I don't have to prove who I am to anyone except for me. And everyone else gets the benefit of who I decide to be, or they get the confusion of who I decide to be if I'm not solid in my own personal decision. They get the staggered energy, they get the imbalanced energy, they get um, the 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 need for validation. They get the lowest part of me when I'm not proving to myself that I am who I say I am. So that's the work for tonight. To take a moment to continue to unpack and make a definitive plan about who you are. Asking yourself the questions of what makes me happy? Where do I feel the energy in my body when I'm bothered? What do I do with the energy when I feel bothered, triggered? And if and when I, not even if, when I make a decision to stand in my highest self, how does that serve everyone around me that depends on me? Those are just a few questions that come up. But this class, this conversation is really brought together by the experiences that I've had with myself today and how I decided to show up and who I decided to be in holding space for another. And I really want you to take that opportunity and hold yourself accountable to being who you say you are, and knowing that you don't have to prove that to anybody else. But through your own work and your own dedication, everyone around you will feel the impact of who you're being. And that's a powerful place to stand in. So congratulations if you've been here for 23 days. And if today is your first day joining us, I am grateful for your participation in this conversation. And when you come back to this space, bring a friend. Show up with someone in tow that you can do this work with, that's ready and willing to use their triggers to transform their minds, their heart, their spiritual space, their physical, financial health. This is a space where we develop ourselves for optimal wellness, really focusing in on our nervous system and what it is that we are feeling inside of our body, inside of these experiences, and what that feeling is saying to us about how we can transform and transmute so that we're standing in our highest energy. This information is for everyone. I don't care what you believe, who you talk to in your prayers. This is a everybody space for everyone to evolve into their own personal consciousness, into the collective consciousness that we are co-creating. And we're doing so in default or in purpose. And this is a space to create purpose. So congratulations again for being here. I'm grateful that you have chosen to come back and be inside of this conversation, and that if there was anything that I said tonight that would um, create you a space, I'll say, to improve your life. That is an amazing wonder. So I give thanks, and I'm grateful that you've chosen yourself and that you continue to choose a perspective that serves you. I am Goddess Shatoya, Goddess is all I am, and this concludes day 23 of the Trigger to Transform system. Y'all be well, and drop your comments below. Let's talk about it.